Hello everyone, it is me Vegeta T23 and welcome back to my new What If. Today we're starting something new, that being what if Saiyans were good. Before I start, I'd like to mention that I created a Discord server for you to join. The link is in the description of this video, so if you'd like to join in and talk to me and the rest of my fans, it's there. I'd also like to mention that I created an Instagram so you can survey my very uninteresting life. I mainly post OSA stuff. Now back to the video. Before we move on with the what if, I like to switch some things up a bit. So you know how Universe 6 and Universe 7 Saiyans are like polar opposites? Well, I'll still keep that same opacity between those universes, with only one twist. I will be switching those two universes, so Universe 6 will have the mentality of canon Universe 7, and vice versa. With my babble out of the way, let's start the what if. It all starts during the Saiyan Civil War and Yamoshi's Super Saiyan God ritual thing. Instead of losing his power and getting dominated by the rogue Saiyans, he actually managed to defeat the evil before his power ran out. He was known as a savior of his people, and many rogues have joined the good side, becoming protectors of the universe instead of mass murderers and planet conquerors. Meanwhile, in Universe 6, some rogue Saiyans have decided to waste the planet and managed to do so, but at the cost of that planet, so they had no choice but to move planets. So now they have Planet Vegeta, or Planet Kaba, or whatever, gaining their reputation as conquerors. They have decided to live their own lives as murderers and eventually partnered with Frost after a while, making a pact between each other. Over time, they have done a couple errands for Frost and have helped save the planets and getting a profit off of it, or better yet, the whole planet to rule over, among many other prizes. Meanwhile, the Vegeta lineup continued yet again, with Vegeta the Third, and he has lived his life well as a prince, until he became king and King Cold came around. He knew he was up to no good and declined his offers. That forced them to move from planet Sadala real quickly, right after Cold's leaving, going undercover for the most part. They still saved planets, but took low-risk jobs, basically jobs which won't expose them. Vegeta III had a child, and his name was Vegeta IV. He was born quite strong and was King's pride and joy, looking forward to the new almighty king. However, Broly was born too, and his power level exceeded the prince's. The king paid more attention to Broly and made him the future Saiyan for the royalty due to his massive power level. Kakarot was born too, as well as Tarble, and his power was not much. But Bardock, his father, went ahead and trained the kid to become pretty powerful by the time he is 5. That made Vegeta hang out with Kakarot, forming a brotherly bond eventually. Sadly, Cold found them again and threatened to blow their planet up if they do not obey. Despite all the things Cold gave them for potentially joining him, they declined the offer. Cold then introduced his son, Frieza. He tried convincing the Saiyans to join them, but to no avail, claiming they have a Saiyan pride and they won't do it for a lifetime. Prince Vegeta's mother knew what was up and forwarded it all to Bardock, who made up a plan if nothing succeeds, they will send their offsprings and themselves to Earth, a low-level planet with pretty much really low power level. Frieza powered up a ball to destroy the planet. They knew they gotta work fast. They knew the Frieza Force relies on scouters to read power levels and that they could easily cheat the system. So Bardock went ahead and created a smoke screen to let everyone escape. Once most of the Saiyans got to their pods, they used one pod for 2 people and they started departing. Once they did so, Frieza and Cold tried taking their pods down, and while they did succeed to destroy a couple flying pods, they haven't managed to catch up to them as they were left pretty much instantly. The whole 200 or something Saiyans decided to settle on Earth. Over there, Kami visited them in concerns that they might be the conquerors he predicted, but it's the complete opposite. They wanted to have a separated civilization from the residents of this planet. Vegeta is mad at Frieza and is hoping to reach the Super Saiyan of Legend soon and teach the rest of the Saiyans it so they can actually take down Frieza for good, knowing of the Super Saiyan God and initially the ritual, so they can finally take back planet Sadala. So he is researching for that time being. They made small huts at first, then expanded, so much that humans intervened into their city and started questioning them. The Saiyans were quite welcoming regardless, not having them getting involved in the first place. Furry, the king of the world, has made an agreement with the Saiyans. By the time they made an agreement, however, some Saiyans already left planet Earth to go somewhere else, with no races on there, and try surviving there, being quite happy with their new setup. Vegeta wanted to take revenge right that second, but he needed a Super Saiyan God, knowing Broly is the strongest. Kami reached them and warned them that in 10 years, Earth will become compromised by some space tyrant. The king knew right away that it's Frieza, and asked of Kami to help them to train for him somehow. Kami suggested a time chamber, but they needed a way to get Super Saiyan. Kami doesn't know of the form much, but he knows that it actually exists from the Namekian book, so he told them so. In the end, King Vegeta accepted Kami's offer. He took the 3 strongest Saiyans, being him, Bardock, Broly, and his son Prince Vegeta. Once they got there, they briefly meet Mr. Popo, and find out that society is quite calm for the most part. Since the prince knew of all the plans, he decided to train with Bardock, while the king took Broly in to train him for Super Saiyan. First to go in are King Vegeta and Broly, and they both failed, even after 2 years. After a failed attempt, Bardock and the prince then went in. Prince thought that with his knowledge of the form, he's gonna be able to achieve it. But it was actually Bardock that managed to do it, considering these Saiyans are actually good-mannered. Learning from it, Vegeta advised Bardock on how to control it, and went to town getting it himself. The first few attempts failed, but eventually he did it after 4 months of trying. They eventually came out, and the king was sad that they didn't manage it either, until they both transformed, making the king cry from joy, saying they knew they'd manage it eventually. Getting right to it, they began training, so almost every Saiyan capable of transforming becomes a Super Saiyan. One problem with Broly though, he loses his control when going Super Saiyan. King Vegeta is a bit disappointed that the strongest fighter might not be able to defeat Frieza, so they're going for the second strongest, which is Bardock. They, however, wasted barely a month in total outside of Time Chamber for the Saiyans to get Super Saiyan. So they gotta wait another 9 years and 11 or so months to prepare. In the meantime, King Piccolo managed to get free and started trashing the earth. And this is where Roshi and Krillin get introduced, trying to beat the Namekian, but they fail miserably. Knowing the Saiyans are all about fighting, they appoint them to beat King Piccolo. Bardock, wanting to get his son Raditz to do something in his life for once, goes and tells him to beat this Piccolo, which he goes to do with pleasure. Raditz gets there and completely obliterates Piccolo with only one punch through the stomach. King Piccolo spat out an egg and died in place. Raditz returned back and told everyone the threat has been neutralized. Roshi and Krillin then enter their premises and knock on the door. Gine answers but gets a bit defensive, knowing that's humans and not fully trusting them yet. Roshi says they come in peace and trying his best to not get his sus get the better of him. He explains that they couldn't beat Piccolo, but their family member did, attempting to ask to train them. Raditz came out to see the commotion and remembered that these people were there while he was picking King Piccolo apart. Kakarot also came out and saw Krillin. Krillin was on guard until Kakarot went up to him to hang out with him. They came along quite fast. Gine, seeing that Kakarot is getting along with the Earthlings as well as Raditz, decides to ask Bardock. Bardock is for that idea all the way, so with that, Gine accepted Roshi's proposal. Roshi though couldn't help but drool over Gine, receiving a slap across his face, slamming him in the shed. Krillin then had to explain that Roshi is a very sus fella. And with that, Kakarot, Krillin, Roshi, and Raditz went to train at the Kame House. And with that, we're leaving things be for now. Thank you for watching. If you think I'm procrastinating way too much, then click dislike. But if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you'd like me to cover your idea in the near future, comment down below. And as always, peace out.